Sonia Sotomayor. She has been called one of the ablest federal judges currently sitting, and she's seen as a role model of aspiration, discipline, commitment, intellectual prowess, and integrity. She's an outstanding graduate of two leading universities. She was a prosecutor and a litigator before she became a judge. Before she was in the Second Circuit, she was appointed to the District Court for the Southern District of New York by President George H.W. Bush. She served 11 years on the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, which is one of the most demanding of the country, and she's made decisions on complex legal and constitutional issues. When she was confirmed, she had overall more judicial experience than any other justice confirmed in the last 70 years. With all this prestige and success, most people would think she came from a family or background with money. The profile of a Supreme Court justice has been regarded as having an upper middle to high-class status, and as coming from a civic-minded, politically active, and economically comfortable family. Sonia was born in the Bronx in New York City to a Puerto Rican family. Her father's name was Juan Sotomayor and her mother's was Selena Baez. They left Puerto Rico, met, then married after her mother served in the Women's Army Corps during World War II. Her father had a third-grade education and did not speak English. He worked as a tool and die worker, while her mother worked as a telephone operator, then a practical nurse. She was raised as a Catholic and grew up amongst other Puerto Ricans who settled in the South and East Bronx area. She identifies herself to this very day as a New Yorican. It is a mixture of the terms New York and Puerto Rican and means a person from Puerto Rican descent who lives in or around the New York area. As a child, she lived in a tenement, which is a large multi-room dwelling, and it is said to be breeding grounds for outlaws, juvenile delinquents, and organized crime. Then in 1957, she moved to a better-maintained housing project, which is part of both the South and East Bronx. Her closeness to the Yankee Stadium made her a lifelong Yankees fan. Also, during her childhood, she frequently went back to Puerto Rico in the summers. At 8 years old, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and she started taking daily insulin injections. As if this wasn't enough for a young child to handle, her father died at 42 when she was only 9 years old. Her father's death led to her becoming fluent in English. She wanted to be a detective because she was inspired by the Nancy Drew character. After her diagnosis of diabetes, her dream changed, and she now wanted to go into the legal field and become a judge because of watching the Perry Mason television series. By the age of 10, she knew what she wanted to do in life, and in her mind, nothing was going to stop her from achieving it. Her mother, Selena, put great stress on education and bought her children educational books, which was unusual for people living in housing. They usually had other things that were necessities that they would spend their money on. Selena went out of her way to assure her children a good education. Sonia credits her mother with being her life inspiration. She attended Blessed Sacrament School in Soundview for elementary school, where she was a valedictorian and had a near-perfect attendance record. Even though she was not of age, she worked at a local retail store, then a hospital. She then transferred to Cardinal Spellman High School in the Bronx. During this time, the housing in which she lived had increasing heroin use, crime, and gang violence. In 1970, the family moved to a cooperative housing development in the Northeast Bronx. In high school, she was very successful. She was in many clubs, including the forensic team and student government. She graduated as valedictorian in 1972. Her childhood and adolescence was not an easy one. She was not raised in a political or economically comfortable family. Her father never even learned to speak English. But she never let these things stand in her way, and she overcame any obstacles in her path with extreme determination. Maybe if she wouldn't have been raised under these circumstances, she wouldn't be what she is today. Her circumstances might have given her some kind of inspiration that couldn't come from anywhere else. The need to overcome expectations and prove that anyone can achieve their dreams could have been born out of her situation. People didn't expect much from her since she lived in poverty, but she didn't let this stop her. Instead, she used it as motivation to prove them wrong. Even though she may not have noted in the moment, Sonia Sotomayor gave hope to anyone who has obstacles in their path to achieve their dream. She has been one of many who has proven by personal experience, by living in poverty and having chances against her, that anything is achievable with enough drive and perseverance, and she has taught us all to never give up.